So, have you ever watched a video from someone like MKBHD and seen one of these sitting in the background and thought, what the heck is this weird color board? Well, let me explain. This thing is called a color checker, and it's really important for color grading because it actually shows the camera accurate representations of a wide swath of colors from black, red, yellow, green, cyan, you name it. Each of these little blocks is actually a matte finish, so the light doesn't really affect what the camera sees on these colors if you hold it directly in front of the camera. You also have to be really careful with these color blocks because touching them or exposing them to chemicals or any sort of humidity can make them less accurate, and you're supposed to replace one of these things every 2 years after regular use. But how would you actually use one of these things? Well, let me show you. This is going to be a simplified example, but any video editor that you use that has decent color grading tools like DaVinci Resolve, or in my case Final Cut Pro, will have tools like the histogram and a vector scope. And looking at the vector scope here in Final Cut Pro, you can see true red, true magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. And what I did here is I cropped into the background of a video where the color checker was sitting, and this gave me spikes on the vector scope pointing towards these different true colors. And without getting too complicated with different color profiles like Rec 709 or Rec 2020, the basic idea, if you want to get started with color grading, is to get those spikes to be as close to their true colors on the vector scope as possible. Now, of course, something you might run into along the way is a hardware limitation with your camera. You can see that in my case I use a Sony camera because magenta is just way off and cyan is kind of extreme alongside yellow. But since color grading is kind of a weird in-between of an art and a science, you don't always have to go for the most accurate colors if you want to go with a more cool color palette to make the scene seem more intense, or you want to make your scene look like Mexico in Breaking Bad, you can go for a warmer tone. It really just comes down to what you're trying to get out of the scene. But knowing how to use a color checker will at least make sure that your colors are accurate as a baseline before you go and change them to whatever you want the scene to fit. And hopefully, now you know what a color checker is for.